I know what you're thinking. Pixels is obviously going to end up in the just plain garbage pile, so why would I even bother making this video? Well, what if I told you that Pixels from 2015 starring Adam Sandler and Kevin James is one of the best movies ever made? Would you believe me and trust my every word moving forward? Well, you'd be wrong. You'd be stupid and wrong.
You're so stupid!
Pixels is a bad movie. Adam Sandler is one of those actors that never ceases to amaze me. He has movies like Happy Gilmore, Click, and Uncut Gems. All movies I would say are pretty good. But then he has movies like The Ridiculous Six, which is vomit in movie form, and his crazy attempt at playing siblings of different genders, Jack and Jill. Oh, and don't forget Adam Sandler takes all his friends on vacation in order to film a movie, aka Grown Ups, plus a sequel, which is even more mind-blowing. Also, Kevin James is in a lot of these. And yeah, I mean, he knows Mall Fu, so... Pixels makes fun of people who like modern video games and treats the time of arcades as the only good era for video games. Which is also ironic, given that this movie was sold as a love letter to video games, but it actively puts down its own demographic. It's also hard to imagine that gamers that grew up with arcades in the 1980s would enjoy this movie. It treats those people like losers for playing video games at arcades in the first place. So on that lovely note, let's get into it. The movie opens in the 1980s, and to make sure you never forget this, Pixels will play the same 3 or 4 80s songs over and over. Adam Sandler is playing Brenner, a local teen who also steals from little girls after they've made money selling lemonade. Kevin James is playing Will, Brenner's best friend, and though he isn't good at video games, he sure is a whiz at the claw game. I wonder if that small detail will come back in any way to help play a role in the plot. They go to an arcade, and Brenner has apparently never played any of these games before because Will seems dumbfounded by his out-of-nowhere skill. After just one day in the arcade, Brenner and Will compete in a video game tournament, and it appears to be the very next day. There they meet Ludlow, who is known as the Wonder Kid, and Eddie the Fire Blaster, a nickname he apparently gave himself, and he also has 2 fully grown women escorting him. These are like children, aren't they? Also, a big point of this tournament is that they're filming it and it'll be sent into space in a capsule for any aliens that are out there. So the tournament goes on, and in the end, Brenner loses to Eddie in the finals, and from that moment on, his life sucks. I'm not kidding. Later, adult Brenner says that after he lost the tournament, his life was ruined and everything was bad from that moment on. The dude played video games for one day, almost won a tournament, set a world record, and his life was ruined?
Stop crying, it won't do any good, and anyway, you have a lot of work to do.
We flash forward to the current day, and Brenner works as a nerd for a knockoff Best Buy. And what does Will do now? Oh, nothing important. He's just the President of the United States? Okay, Adam Sandler, we can only suspend disbelief so far. Making Kevin James play the President is insane. It's even harder to believe because as the movie goes on, he's portrayed as not being able to read, goofing off during an alien invasion, and all around being a hated guy. So how on earth are we supposed to believe that he was able to win a presidential election? Brenner ends up going to the house of Violet, played by Michelle Monaghan, and her kid just straight up tells this random install guy everything about their life. That his dad cheated on his mom for a 19-year-old Pilates instructor and that she hates his guts. Then when Brenner actually meets Violet, he is both an asshole and creepy in every way possible.
I guess I thought of you were gonna be like one of those hot when we first met in high school, but then let herself go and got a pot belly and turkey neck with the hairy chin.
Why are you the way that you are?
Yet somehow when he's finished with his install, he goes to get her signature and she's crying in the closet. So she just lets this random guy who insulted her earlier in the closet with her to talk about what she's going through. Brenner then tries to kiss her, and after she rejects him, he just starts being mean to her for no reason. This continues on as Brenner is asked to go to the White House, and on his way, it turns out Violet is a lieutenant colonel and works at the White House. The night prior, an Air Force base was attacked by an unknown enemy, and President Mall Cop is holding a briefing to figure out what happened. Will asks Brenner to look at the footage, and after Brenner is done, he just barges in on the meeting and tells everyone that Galaga attacked the Air Force base. He gets laughed out of the room, and after a long and painful scene of him insulting everyone, he leaves.
Zac Efron, Gandalf, and Harry Potter in the same room. Imagine that.
That was boring. You're not funny and nobody likes you.
While driving, Josh Gad, playing the adult Ludlow, pops up in the back of his van, and in one of the only 2 moments that made me laugh, Brenner punches Ludlow out of the vehicle. Ludlow takes Brenner back to his basement and shows him a message from the aliens stating when and where their next attack will be. Turns out they took our message filled with Earth video games as a challenge, and they've come to battle for control of the planet. They take this information to Will, who says that he can't act on it because he's already a giant laughingstock and can't afford to be wrong. Too bad for him, it ended up being true, and as a result, the Taj Mahal is destroyed. Taking all of it seriously now, Will and his staff gather the best Navy SEALs tax dollars can afford and has Brenner train them on arcade games? Josh Gad has the best moment in this movie when he loses his mind and starts yelling random insults and compliments to the Navy SEALs.
When you Magina poop your pants, you're gonna be thinking of me. In your pants. You know what I mean.
I love Josh Gad, and without him, I would have jumped into traffic while watching this movie. So the aliens send another message which takes our ragtag team to England for the next battle. The next game is Centipede, and as it turns out, the military men who are trained to have literally the best aim and weapon skill on the planet can't hit a giant glowing bug. Because they suck, Brenner steps in with Ludlow, and to more 80s music, they save the day. Realizing that dumb old military men aren't the solution and that men in their 40s who are good at outdated arcade games you can download on your phone are the real key to victory, Will puts them in charge. Lacking in the nerd department, they go to prison to see Peter Dinklage playing adult Eddie the Fire Blaster. After some more bad jokes and weird demands from Eddie, the team is complete and they prepare for their next battle. One of the big things about this is how the humans don't know which game is going to be played during the battle. I guess the rules don't matter because they stop following them immediately after the Centipede encounter. Because without breaking these rules, we wouldn't know that the next game is Pac-Man so that the humans can be prepared. They've created Mini Coopers to act as the ghosts as they chase Pac-Man around in New York City. In the end, our trio are able to defeat Pac-Man and win the battle, meaning the last one will decide the winner. For some reason, President Dum Dum holds a banquet the next night honoring the group, now going by the name The Arcaders. At the banquet, Brenner and Violet go from enemies to lovers, and Ludlow sings an 80s song, and Eddie brings Serena Williams as a date. Too bad the aliens transmit a broadcast telling Earth that they cheated during the last encounter, and because of that, Earth will now forfeit and be destroyed. Apparently, Eddie was using cheat codes the entire time, which is also how he beat Brenner all those years ago at the tournament. Which, like, sure, for an arcade game in the 1980s, maybe cheat codes were a thing, but he used them while driving a real-life Mini Cooper. He used a cheat code for the video game Pac-Man that gives him super speed in a Mini Cooper. A fictional game's cheat codes worked on a Mini Cooper in real life to give him super speed. Plain garbage. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on the movie Fine, I'll finish the stupid movie. Because Eddie cheated, the United States government fires everyone, and Brenner, Ludlow, and Violet have to stop the alien invasion by themselves. I haven't mentioned it yet because honestly I was avoiding talking about it, but after each battle, a trophy is either given or taken depending on who wins. The trophy given to Earth after the Pac-Man encounter was Q-Bert, and boy howdy, I cannot wait to tell you what happens with him at the end of this movie. So the aliens come down shaped like a bunch of video game characters, and very quickly our trio of heroes starts to become overwhelmed and surrounded. But have no fear, because just as our incredible and likable heroes are about to get froggered to death, the president shows up, and being such a whiz at the claw game, he snatches the frog out of the air with a crane. The claw game and catching a pixelated frog out of the air with a steering wheel operated construction crane while wearing a Wookiee mask are two very different things, but sure. Turns out the president went rogue, so while Brenner, Will, and Violet go up to the main ship to have a third act boss battle, Ludlow and Eddie fight Pixels on the ground. Brenner has to fight Donkey Kong, and after the most boring final fight, he ends up saving the day. So now we get to talk about the weirdest and worst part of this movie. Ludlow is obsessed with this game character called Lady Lisa, like obsessed to the highest level of creepy. So while he's fighting on the ground, she shows up, and using his charm and plot armor, he's somehow able to convince this alien that has taken the shape of Lady Lisa to fight on his side against her own kind. The problem with that is, this movie is using the defeat the main boss and all the minions die method, so when Brenner kills Donkey Kong, she disappears. Why is that creepy or weird, you might ask? Oh, only because Q*bert transforms into Lady Lisa and they make out? But then there's a post-credits scene where they have kids? Q*bert was an alien that was given as a trophy, and somehow he doesn't die at the end, but can just transform into a human woman? A human woman that is anatomically correct, too? Fuck me, what is this movie? Plain garbage, and release me from this hell. Hey everyone, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to check out my video on the movie Cars 2. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment down below what movie you'd like to see me cover in the future.